All right, folks, we are 1 minute after 9, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you don't know me, I'm Quentin Beckham, your 2021 CAAR president, and I would welcome you to our virtual May general membership meeting. To continue with today's agenda, as is our tradition, if you would please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Oh, this is really hard to say when there's nobody saying it along with you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I get to make up my own words when there's nobody here to prompt me. Thank you. And now we are going to be moving on to the approval of the minutes from the March general membership meeting. If you haven't downloaded those, the link for the handouts is in the chat. Give you a few minutes to review that, and if there are any additions or corrections to the distributed minutes, please submit them in the chat box on your Zoom toolbar. All right, there being no suggestions for corrections, the minutes will stand approved as distributed. And thank you. Before we move further into the agenda, we wanted to take a minute to provide you an important home sales data update. As we had communicated last Friday, it had come to our attention that there was a pretty substantive reporting error in the March 2021 home sales data. This specifically impacted the number of closed sales and the median sales price. The inaccurate data was included in both the CAAR March 2021 home sales report and the CAAR 2021 first quarter home sales report. Our market reports are compiled by Virginia Realtors using a compilation of data from MLS systems across Virginia for sales occurring within our footprint. Once we had discovered the issue, Virginia Realtors, CAAR, and Paragon conducted extensive research to determine the error, when, and how it occurred. As we dug through the data, we've discovered that the root cause was the data feed that Virginia Realtors uses for reporting purposes, and that it had been inadvertently modified to exclude data from Paragon when the Bright MLS data share went live on April 13th. This data feed has since been fixed by Paragon to avoid similar reporting issues for future reports. During our discovery meetings this week, we've also identified a possible issue concerning days on market, and we are continuing to analyze that. As we move through this process, we will continue to provide the membership with an update on the delivery of finalized reports later this afternoon. And we are double checking those because we don't want to submit them until we are certain they are correct. One of the things that this made evident is that the current quality assurance processes by the multiple parties failed, as the error was not flagged quickly enough before the reports were released. We have worked hard to improve QA procedures with each participant in the process, and those are being put into place even as we speak to ensure that this does not occur again. On behalf of Virginia Realtors and CAAR, we sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this situation has caused. We understand that this has the potential to have a large effect on you and your clients, as well as our reputation, both at the local and the state level. It is our sincere desire and professional mandate to ensure the accuracy of the data presented so you can continue to have the confidence in the reports that you have enjoyed up to now. We are taking that very seriously. Please note that we have confirmed this did not affect individual agent or firm websites which utilize separate data feeds from those used to generate the reports in question. Those websites continue to be accurate and can be relied upon. We also have with us Dr. Lisa Sturdivant from Virginia Realtors. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us. She is the chief economist. And Lisa, I wanted to give you a couple minutes to see if there was anything you would like to add as a part of this update.
Quentin, thank you very much. And thank you for laying out the issue so clearly. And I just wanted to echo what you said about us making sure that any information that we provide to CAAR members, to the general public, anything that is produced by Virginia Realtors and by the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors can be assured to be reliable. And that is my main mission in my work with you all. I really appreciate how everyone at CAAR, at Paragon, has worked together to put some new steps in place so that we can be confident that we won't run into this problem again. I do also want to emphasize, if there are ever any questions about any of the data that Virginia Realtors produces for CAAR, and or any data that CAAR members see that come out of Virginia Realtors, if there's ever any question, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My whole responsibility is to make sure that you feel confident that the information you're receiving from us is as accurate as possible, so that you can be confident in your dealings with your clients and your colleagues. So Quentin, thank you very much for the chance to address the members, and for your involvement in working so hard to make sure that that we get this right, and that from here on out we won't have to worry about any of these issues again.
Thank you. If you've been with us for a while, you've had opportunity to hear Dr. Sturtevant talk, present economics at the local and the state level, along with brokers in the association. And those have been extremely valuable sessions that have provided a lot of information. And we hope that one mistake does not overshadow all of the value that have been brought to the members by this partnership. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Moving on through our agenda, I would like to express how extremely grateful we are to our presenting sponsor, Southern Development Homes, and event sponsor, Farm Credit of the Virginias, for stepping up and helping us provide this great program. We truly value the professionalism, the service, and the support of our affiliates to CAAR and its members that has continued even through the pandemic, and as we work through to the end of it, and hopefully more in-person time together. As a presenting sponsor, I would like to invite Frank Bailiff of Southern Development Homes to share a few words about the company and any new developments. Frank?
Good morning, and thank you all so much for having us. Excited to be here. And I'm really excited about the Green Building Seminar, the whole series that y'all are doing. That's a topic that we're very passionate about. I know some of y'all have been to our design center and have listened to our own presentation on green building. So I'm really excited to see where that is going with you here, and also very proud to report that all of our homes are Pearl certified, which I know is something that is important for our industry moving forward, especially with sustainability and in general energy efficiency. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We have a flyer in your package. I think it's number 9. That kind of covers some of our current communities, some of our quicker move-ins. But I want to highlight a couple things. In Cascadia, we only have 1 single family left. It's under construction now. It's been an awesome neighborhood. We're really proud to be the developer as well, but there is only 1 home to go. In Belvedere, we have 2 single family homes under construction now. That'll complete for us phase 2B. And the next section of townhomes is under development, and we should be under construction there later this summer. In Old Trail, we're building in 4 different sections, but probably most exciting on this call is that we do have some townhomes from the upper 3s and lower 4s that'll deliver in July. Pretty excited about that. And lastly, in North Point, the developer in North Point is really close to paving that first section, and we only have 2 lots left in our first release. Everything else is pending. So in the next month or so, we're going to be working on the second release of lots. That's a brand new community. We hope to start construction by July, but we already have 13 homes to build under contract, which is pretty exciting. It's an odd time to be a home builder. I know everybody's heard all the fun stuff about material prices and supply chain issues, but it's always fun. Every year is different. And then in the flyer, you can see a picture from our design center. If that's something you're not familiar with, it's something we're really proud of. And if you would love to see it, we would love to show it to you, but we're really proud of the process. One of the nice things that we do with the design center is an included features tour for our prospects so that they can understand exactly what's included in the home and what's available. It's something that has worked really well for everybody, and we would love to show it to you. Other than that, I just want to say thank you all again. And I know we've worked with so many people on this call and we really appreciate it. And for those that we haven't, we'd love to work with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. As you are not able to visit with our sponsors because we are virtual, we really encourage you to review the handouts. There's another link in the chat that you can use if you didn't see those, and take a moment to learn more about them. Certainly the heart of what we do here at CAAR is about partnership and association. In addition to us, there is the Blue Ridge Home Builders Association that is a trusted partner both with the local community and with CAAR. I'm very excited to see our two associations continue to increase opportunities for collaboration as we work towards increased inventory and homeownership opportunities together. Blue Ridge Home Builders has been instrumental in securing our featured speaker for today and the speakers for the Green Building series, which you will learn more about later this morning from Josh White, the Professional Development Master Group Chair. While the decision to build green used to be an individual preference for improving efficiencies, saving on operational costs, or other reasons, many homeowners now believe it is a necessary step in future-proofing their asset against environmental and climate risks or the potential run on gasoline. We are very fortunate to have Casey Blyle of Veridian, one of the largest regional green building programs in the country, present Sustainable Infrastructure, Green Energy Efficient Buildings. Casey first joined Veridian in 2006 as Director of Operations, and then in 2008, she was promoted to Executive Director. She holds a master's degree in Business Management Administration at Virginia Commonwealth University, a Bachelor's of Science degree in Environmental Policy and Planning from Virginia Tech as well. Casey, thank you very much for joining this morning.
Thanks so much for having me, and I'm going to hopefully pull up today's presentation. I hope everyone's doing well. I know that this is a crazy time for everybody in your industry as well as ours, and just in lieu of COVID as well. So hopefully we'll be kind of breaking out and seeing some better, brighter days ahead. So I believe that this is kicking off your Green Building series, and I know that you guys have a number of presentations in the coming months that will really kind of focus in on various aspects of green building. So I'm really pleased that y'all are having us, Veridian, host this. Again, my name is Casey Blyle. I've been in this industry for 16 years, focused on energy efficiency and sustainability of buildings. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit about our organization and then go through the agenda. Before doing so, I just do want to really thank Alexandra and Heather and Jenny, as well as Jimmy North, all the folks that you guys in your partnerships have worked together to provide this series. I would also welcome questions, Quentin or Heather, if you see any questions that come up in the chat and want to go ahead and interrupt me, I'm happy to do so. It's sometimes nice to answer any questions as they might come along. But Veridian is a nonprofit organization. We were formerly known as Earthcraft Virginia, and we rebranded the organization in 2016. What we do is really focus on advancing sustainable, energy efficient, and affordable construction. We do that through education and technical support. We really kind of focus on this from an environmental impact, but also from an energy impact, as well as a quality of life impact. And the primary vehicle in which that we do our work is through the Earthcraft Certification, which is a family of programs that serves as a blueprint to guide a home builder or homeowner through a green building process, focusing on all different aspects of the design construction and with a verification component. I do want to say before I move on, we did pilot this program in 2005 in your backyard here. We had, I believe, 6 different builders that did a home-orama and then produced a parade of homes rather, and then built those homes again. So you guys really pioneered green building in the state of Virginia. Before we brought this program up, there really wasn't a green building pathway here in Virginia. Our organization, since kind of using this vehicle as the flagship, have worked on a variety of different building types. And then we've begun to do some research into energy code, as well as better providing input for the utility program design for energy conservation. And since this time, we have certified just about 30,000 dwelling units. So just to give you a little flavor of the diverse nature of the different types of what green building can look like or can feel like, You'll see some familiar faces here, but anywhere from single family detached all the way down to net zero. You'll see that shelter alternatives farmhouse on the right there. So homes that are actually producing as much energy as they need to consume on an annual basis. We're doing some more kind of government commercial work as well, and some renovation work as well, multifamily. So each year our organization as a nonprofit does present our annual report in which that we quantify the impact of our work. For us, one of the key ways that we are able to do so is by talking about the number of builders that we work with and the number of homes that we've been able to certify. And I'll talk a little bit more about the certification process later, but just to kind of give you a nature and kind of, I guess, scale of the work that we're doing. On an annual basis, we are serving just over 3,000 families, and that's a combination of multifamily and single family. We'll also talk a little bit later too about exactly how beyond code this work is. And I did mention that we're also supporting energy codes, which I'll get into in just a moment. But in 2019 alone, we helped to divert just over 4,000 tons of carbon dioxide. So from an environmental impact, you'll see below that number of 1.4 million on the lower, that's the annual energy savings from the homes that were certified just last year alone. We also like to talk about the fact that these homes are being designed and built to last long beyond 30 years. So if you think about that energy savings potential, not only in the first year of service, but really in the lifetime of that building, and how those energy savings continue to build. So if you're ever in the greater Richmond area and you want to drop in, I am here at the office right now. But we have a Central Virginia office, and then we have independent contractor network of technical advisors that are all home energy raters. That's certified through ResNet. And that's how we really kind of deliver our work, is through this network of building professionals. So with the introduction, if the introduction's out of the way now, this is the agenda, and it has been slightly reworked. So hopefully that doesn't worry anybody, but I thought that this made sense, the most sense of how we'll kind of go through today's presentation. I do want to present a brief introduction of the energy component of the building code. We'll then talk through a little bit about ventilation. I know that could be a whole topic in and of itself, but I think that that's just important both from a code standpoint, but also from a green building implementation standpoint. We'll then go through what is a HERS rating. I know we talked a little bit about Pearl, but HERS, we'll talk through HERS and kind of what that rating system is and what it entails. We'll then talk through really what makes a house green. And then I have some case studies that show the actual impact of this type of work. So just to start off the conversation from painting the picture and kind of from a scale perspective, buildings actually consume 39% of our nation's energy. And so that's a really big number. And as we look towards energy independence and as well as mitigating environmental concerns and greenhouse gas emissions, we're going to see increasing push for energy codes, particularly as we navigate towards a carbon neutral grid and a carbon neutral Virginia. So in this next slide, you'll see that of the electricity used in our country, 3/4 of that's going towards building operations. So we do have a huge opportunity here to build better buildings. And the way that our energy codes work in the US is that at the national level, the Independent Code Council sets a model code every 3 years. Right now, they're working on the 2024 code. But what that code does is it presents a standard that each then state can adopt. And you'll see where different states are. We are currently on the 2015 code. July 1, I believe, we will be formally adopting the 2018 Energy Code and International Energy Conservation Code with the Virginia amendments. And then we have a 1-year grace period. So typically we don't see builders fully adopting it until it becomes mandated the following year. But to give you kind of just a nature of where we are in comparison to other states, you'll also kind of note that in New England and obviously in the California and the West Coast, we'll see a little bit more aggressive, kind of in New England, really focusing on those heating degree days. There's greater, I think, opportunities for energy efficiency and real return. But here in the state, if you want to get involved in the code process, that's managed by the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development. That stakeholder process is about to kick off for the 2021 code here in Virginia, in which that will be evaluating the national 2021 energy code and then identifying which opportunities or amendments we will be making. That is a stakeholder process and a consent agenda, and then additional proposals can be considered and presented to the board of directors. So I mentioned that we're on the 2015 code. We're in July 1. July 1 comes, we're going to be adopting the 2018 code again with a 1-year grace period. So you'll see kind of where we are and where we will need to be from an energy code standpoint. So residential being in green there. So it can be a little confusing as folks kind of think, why is there this lag in the years? But it's really because we are just moving through the process. It's a continuous process. Another reason why energy codes are so important is because they're one of the greatest buckets of energy savings potential for Virginia to meet its voluntarily set 10% reduction. This was set and the baseline used was 2006, keeping in mind that each year we're adding additional demand to our grid. But if you look at the energy savings of 10% over that 2006 baseline, we needed to achieve just over 10 million megawatts hours of energy reduction. You'll see that this blue here is the Dominion, so that's self-reported. That's typically their various energy conservation programs, including DSM programs, as well as their grid interaction. You'll see APCO is next in purple, green being energy performance contracting, typically on much larger commercial and municipal buildings. And then that red is the actual energy codes, and it says projected adoption of the 2015 IECC. I think that this is just important to show. Obviously, the utilities have resources that have to be allocated towards energy reduction, but building codes are also considered a substantial, really the second largest chunk here. One of the reasons that I do want to present this information like this is all deemed energy savings. It's not actually measured. And that's something that I think will continue to be a part of the conversation is what are we actually tracking for our buildings and for our energy savings? And it's not just what we're deeming or saying, yeah, this energy saving measure will result in X, but we're actually measuring the result and the impact of that work. In 2017, we worked very, very closely with DHCD. Oops, pardon, I don't know why that went back. With the Department of Housing and Community Development, with the U.S. Department of Energy and Southeast Energy Efficiency Alliance. Throughout the Southeast, a number of states were asked to look at how well the Virginia Residential Energy Building Code was being implemented. So again, not what it just says on paper, but how well we were actually seeing these results in the field. How well were they actually being delivered? So this work was conducted, some research was conducted in 2017 and 2018. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then that research was then later analyzed by Pacific Northwest National Laboratories, and we'll go through that. Again, the goal with this whole work was to really understand how well the energy code was being met in the field. And hopefully you don't get too dizzy here. So first was kind of an assessment, a baseline, and then we provided education. In the following years, we provided education and training to the industry through a number of different training opportunities that I believe you guys may have even participated in this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier. We then also worked directly with a number of different municipalities to develop some resources specifically tailored to Virginia needs of both urban and rural municipal code enforcement. And I actually have those resources, which I'll show you in just a minute. Phase 3 for our work, this is a national model. We did not get to phase 3. Virginia was added late to this work. And so we have not yet reassessed this, but we've just presented and wrapped up those resources, and I'll show you those. The energy measures, there were 8 key measures that were looked at, or kind of our data set points for the research component. I pulled this from another deck, so that's why it keeps jumping around on me. I apologize. But we looked at foundation insulation, wall insulation, ceiling insulation. We looked at windows, U factor and solar heat gain coefficients. We looked at the building envelope tightness, which is measured with a blower door. We looked at total duct leakage, which is measured with a duct blaster. And we looked at high efficacy lighting, which has requirements on how energy efficient lighting must also be in the percentage in a home. Because we had to collect these 63 instances, not all of them can be collected at mid-construction or at final. So as you'll see, wall insulation needs to be verified at pre-drywall. So we got into 135 homes to collect full sets of data for these 8 instances. And that work was reported and then schlepped off to Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. How we did that work is that we looked at new building starts in 29 jurisdictions across the Commonwealth, and we worked with DHCD to collect those key contacts to support us in navigating and kind of getting ahead of those permit dates. And then we got a list of builders and we called. We had to get permission to enter sites, so the data might be skewed in that sense that builders had to be willing to let us come on site. And we worked closely with the Home Builders Association at the state level too, to support this work. The result of that was that we had some opportunities for improvement, that the code wasn't, not surprisingly, being met in 100% across all these measures. And so you'll see duct leakage. We had the potential savings to save 6 million BTUs, 30,000 million BTUs for envelope leakage, and it goes on from there. And so I think that this was a really important step for the state as we looked at where our energy code efficacy is currently on an implementation standpoint, what resources are needed, and how can we as an industry collectively work together to focus on these areas that are perhaps gaps and opportunities, as well as to set a bar for and benchmark where we need to be and where we think we can be. And I will commend, I think, the whole DHCD process and the energy code development process for really thinking through not only what do we want, but how do we get there? And that is that collective feedback from the stakeholder network, including builders and a variety of different associations. But I think all in general, if we were collectively implementing the energy code, we would see on an annual basis 150,000 million BTUs and a potential energy cost savings to Virginians of nearly $3 million on an annual basis. So not insignificant. And that, again, was just on the 2015 code. So I mentioned that following this work, we did a number of trainings. And then last year, we went through a circuit rider program in which that we worked with 10 jurisdictions, and we tracked them through the plan review and the building inspection, and in which that we were verifying the energy efficiency measures verification, as well as what are the kind of typical challenges that you'll see. And I just want to point these resources out to everybody because they are free and they are readily available to anybody that wants to download them. If you go to our website, which is listed there, viridiant.org, you can go to research and resources, and then I've pulled out that toggle on the side, the 2015 Virginia Residential Building Code. And this is exactly what was sent to this binder of resources, covering HVAC design review. So how do you understand design, manual J, D, and S? How do you read that? What are the installation tips? We also then covered insulation. We also provided information on duct sealing and virtual inspections, etc. So there's a slew of resources available there to download. If you go to, they can be downloaded individually, or you can go all the way to the very end and download the entire PDF, which is what I would recommend. And you can maybe not have a nice binder, but you can punch it out. But those resources were mailed out and electronically delivered to all municipalities across the Commonwealth. All right, so that wraps up the energy code intro. Before I move into ventilation, I just thought I might pause to see if anyone had any questions. Okay, hearing none, we'll move into ventilation, which again, could be a whole topic on its own, as we stated, but mechanical ventilation in residential construction is now mandatory. In previous years, it was voluntary. Getting back here. So it is mandatory, and it just says, you know, that this has to be incorporated. And then there's a chart that enables you to look at how much ventilation is needed. And so that's dictated by the volume in the building, which in a more condensed approach, I apologize, it's bouncing around here, is looked at the number of bedrooms that the home has, as well as the overall square footage. And then you will determine or kind of spit out a ventilation rate that needs to be met. Historically, we also then have intermittent ventilation. And so depending on how frequently you're ventilating the space, you can use this multiplying factor at the bottom. So number one is you figure out what the ventilation rate is needed for the building per the code. The code does not specify the strategies in which the ventilation rate can be met. And so there's kind of what we say is in this situation, it's a better, good, and best approach, but kind of thinking through, there's a variety of different types of ventilation that can be utilized. And again, this is in the code. So one issue historically is that we weren't measuring the actual building envelope in previous codes, and we still are not in the 2015 code. Blower door testing will be required in the 2018 code, but we really didn't know how leaky our buildings are. So if we're mandating a ventilation rate, but not knowing exactly how leaky the building itself is, that can create some inequities in really the goal that we're trying to reach. Another huge issue is that these ventilation strategies have different results. And you know, it's really typically left to the builder or the HVAC contractor to determine that. And they can have significant consequences. For Earthcraft, we do require that ventilation cannot be negative. And so we also kind of have a number of additional specifications that we utilize when we're talking about ventilation. We do require it on all projects, and then we have these additional measurements. And you'll see here on the bottom, this slide deck was pulled from our building professional training that we offer to builders. It's a 8-hour classroom or 2 4-hour trainings that we offer to really walk builders through building science, as well as through the Earthcraft family of programs to implement those. But heavy emphasis on building science. So if you're interested in further education on these pieces of kind of building science, I would advocate that you do consider taking that training. And along the bottom here, we align the course presentation with the sections of our worksheet. So site planning, et cetera. And here we are in energy savings. So fresh air ventilation, we require that we really want a positive for our family of programs. So while code allows negative ventilation, we do not. It can be a real disaster in July if we are bringing, if we have a negative pressure on the building. Think through a very large kitchen range hood, pulling out all of the air, conditioned air of the building. And then the building is going to naturally identify leaks in the building to bring in negative, or to bring in outside hot, humid air. Which can, as soon as it hits a cold condensing surface, create real issues for moisture as well as durability, mold, et cetera. And over time, that can have disastrous implications, not only for the building and the structurability and indoor air quality, but also for the actual components of our system. So the motors, creating additional work for those motors. Okay. Again, I don't know if you guys are getting your whole mechanical ventilation presentation later, but we are moving right along. So one of the things that I was asked to discuss is what is a HERS rating? And a HERS rating is something that we have been utilizing, and it's really not a new thing. And all the homes that first participated in the Earthcraft family of programs in 2005 pilot with you all were receiving a HERS rating then. But a HERS, I guess I can just go ahead here. So a HERS rating, it really measures the energy efficiency of a home, and it's the national standard for measuring a home's energy efficiency. And it takes into consideration all of the different areas, all of the different materials, the building location, as well as the orientation of the home. It takes into consideration the conductivity of the home. So thinking through the insulation, thinking through the windows, the window performance. It also takes into consideration the mechanicals. So looking at the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, any additional fans, spot ventilation, hot water and mechanicals there. And any, if you were using, say now, a whole house dehumidifier as well. And so we then use the building plans and building specifications to build up an energy model. Only a home energy rater can do this work, and we do have to meet national standards of accreditation as well as quality assurance. And a HERS rating is the only one that's really backed by the mortgage industry. So it really is the standard for a home's energy efficiency. It can be used for single family and multifamily, but it's really sticking to residential here. When you get into commercial buildings, often we're utilizing different types of performance measurement. We then go, once we've built up that energy model, we then verify those measures in the field. So only, as I mentioned earlier, some measures can only be collected at that pre-drywall before the drywall goes up, but you can still verify the insulation measures. And same with ductwork, you also need to be able to verify various components of the duct system. And we verify those in the field. We then come back at the final and are able to pressure test the building envelope with a blower door, as well as the duct system with a duct blaster, to actually collect real verifiable data on how this building will perform. That then will produce a number. Lower is better when it comes to a HERS index. And you'll see, in this example here, a home is said to be 65. If you have a reference home at 100, therefore that this home would be 35% more energy efficient than that reference or code standard. Alternatively, if you think about existing homes that were built previously under previous or less stringent energy code guidelines or code really, you're going to have homes that exceed that 100 and are likely going to be closer in the 130 or 140s range. So that's a crash course in what a home energy rating index is. I know also, I believe Frank mentioned Pearl. So Pearl uses components of the HERS model and the HERS index. So it's really relying on that HERS model or various other components or subset components to produce a Pearl certification, which just really communicates that data to a sales metric in the MLS. Okay, so what is green building? Well, green building, according to the EPA, you guys could read this as well, is the practice of creating structures and using processes that are environmentally responsible and resource efficient throughout the building's life cycle, from sitting to design and construction, operation and maintenance, renovation and deconstruction. This practice expands and complements the classic building design concerns of the economy, utility, durability, and comfort. It's also known as sustainable or high performance building, but it's really what's behind the walls that makes a home green. And we really say it's from start to finish. So we like to work with builders early in their design phases to ensure that they are meeting all different aspects of the program, including energy efficiency. And we believe that that early design and industry collaboration results in a sound product. I mentioned the primary vehicle in which that we are delivering these high performance certifiably green buildings is through Earthcraft. And we look at the climate conditions of the Southeast. We talked a little bit about the ventilation earlier and the necessity we don't believe in having a negative ventilation approach because it generally can cause some serious problems. But we're also looking at the overall constructability and the environmental conservation resources of those, as well as water and those resources. So some of the benefits that we see with taking this approach is lower utility costs. We have a higher enhanced indoor air quality because we are controlling where air is coming in and designatedly leaving the building from. Greater durability in the home overall, increased comfort, and a higher resale value. So there's a variety of different programs and services I'm about to show you all, but when thinking about a program, we really think of, okay, well, what is geographically available to you? I mentioned that when we first started this organization, those resources were not available. We also look at the cost and size and the scope of work, of the project. And we also, evaluate if these are self-verified or if they have kind of an industry vetted third-party agent working on them. We also think about how do we manage the quality control, which is also a product of what the client expects, as well as can be risk mitigation for the builder. We do also advocate for benchmarking. It's not industry standard, but really we continue to advocate for policy development work, and at the state level that we need to see the measured savings, not just the deemed savings. And really kind of make sure that you get what you think you're going to get. So why certify with our organization? Well, we really kind of look at a variety of different building types, and we're able to demonstrate both cost efficiency, investment protection, healthier buildings, and a more sustainable lifestyle. And this is across both single family and multifamily. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on, what we're most known for being the Earthcraft family of certifications, but we really also have evolved. Our organization obviously will provide Energy Star certifications for homes as well, those home energy rating systems, Earthcraft, National Green Building Standard, Enterprise, LEED for Homes, Zero Energy Ready Homes. So we often have builders coming to us wanting to design a net zero or zero energy ready home, meaning that if they were to invest in solar or the homeowner thereafter was to invest in solar, that home would in fact be net zero. So a zero energy ready home has to consider the entire building envelope and to reduce the load of the building substantially so that the investment of solar would produce a return. We also provide passive house. We work with some federally funded builders and projects, and they have a variety of different inputs. So here we're able to support on HUD, MAP, SETI, and SEP. Utility allowances, again, for kind of those multifamily performance testing. And we've just recently launched our local energy, Richmond Region Energy Alliance. And so we were asked to acquire them, and we have been launching community energy services available to the community. So really kind of the existing single family, detached, or tenant. So some of the benefits of green building, we have a tendency to focus on energy because it's the most easily measured benefit, but we're typically seeing projects 20 to 50%. We all have also consulted with over a number of projects, really getting them to zero energy. And then doing the cost benefit analysis of what can we conserve to reduce the load on the building itself versus just installing solar. Any building could be zero energy with enough solar, but the goal is really to find the right balance of investments in the building itself so that solar will go further and has a much better ROI. We talk about cleaner indoor air quality. We've also demonstrated that these buildings can be cost less to build, and I'll show you a little bit on that study that was done by Virginia Tech, Virginia Center for Housing Research at Virginia Tech. We talked through really the emphasis is moving to the design build process, that we're integrating early and we're having the conversations in the design process that can in fact might incur some additional services or the involvement of an organization like Viridian, but in the end can actually demonstrate lower cost savings in the overall project. We've also done some work to analyze the resale value and improved ROI. So just a couple case studies, and then I will stop talking and answer any questions. But I mentioned a number of years ago, Virginia Housing conducted a study on the impact of their policy works to incentivize Earthcraft. And what they found across the state in a variety of different buildings, that they wanted to kind of, again, understand the efficacy of this. So they looked at, I believe, 15 different projects, both new construction and renovation across the Commonwealth. And we actually collected real utility data. So we were collecting utility bills from those occupants and residents, keeping in mind this is multifamily, keeping in mind that this is affordable housing. But what we were able to demonstrate that over the 3 years that we are actually saving residents $648 annually on an annual basis on their buildings. And again, keep in mind that these are much smaller dwelling units. So if you were to monetize and increase that per square foot energy savings up to a much larger building, you would expect to see much larger energy savings. But in these situations, that can be an extreme component of the annual housing costs and what folks are really turning to now, which is called energy cost burden. So looking at total housing costs, particularly in our lower income and mixed income communities, which can be nestled and in pockets within all of our communities. So really thinking through equity of our community. We found that also that these buildings were 55% more energy efficient than the national average, and at the time, 43% more efficient than the Virginia average for multifamily rental. And that should be available on our website under that same research and resources tab. So you can find the full study there. They also, in corresponding years and in subsequent years rather, did a study to analyze the actual costs of delivery. And I know costs right now are crazy, and as I think Frank mentioned, just hard to track, and just increased lumber windows, you name it. So, but at that point in time, we were able to demonstrate again that these buildings actually cost less to deliver. So these materials are readily available. It's just a matter of how it's incorporated in a holistic process from design across a variety of different subcontractors and all the way through construction. And that key component being verified, and I think having that third-party assistance to ensure that we're actually meeting those goals throughout construction. I also wanted to show you guys just a sampling of different projects. So here is a multifamily renovation project. I want to say down in Norfolk, but this was a project done by Community Housing Partners and did utilize low-income housing tax credits for their renovation, and had some at that time, some very aggressive or different. You know, they utilized via variable refrigerant flow for their mechanicals. So they did some innovative things, but what they saw is nearly a 50% energy savings on year one. So when you think about the potential for energy savings and as part of that ROI. Here's one on water efficiency up in Arlington for a multifamily project. Typically, water is not the first thing people think of as a resource or ROI measure. But in this scenario, we were able to show $24,000 of annual water savings by an investment in those water saving features. And you'll see mostly that was coming from those toilets and slightly from shower heads, and still also contributing from those faucets. And this might look familiar. This is a commercial project that we worked on, also by Community Housing Partners and part of the Greenstone on Fifth apartment complex. So this project worked through the, oh shoot, I'm gonna miss it there. I wanna say the Advanced Commercial, the Department of Energies. It was part of DOE's research in which we're looking at what is the standard for commercial energy conservation in construction, but then also where can we go from there. So this project was participating in a number of projects throughout the Southeast, and actually I believe it was one of the best performing, if not the best performing project. We also collected data on the project, so you'll see that we did circuit level energy monitoring to actually see that the performance was meeting the projections. And this project did incorporate solar. The findings, so actually looking at the real energy usage, you'll see that far surpassed the ASHRAE 90.1 energy code for commercial buildings. And without the incorporation of solar, the building was already 30% more efficient than its standard code built counterparts. And with the incorporation of solar, became 80% more energy efficient. We also, with that circuit level energy monitoring, were able to identify that the electric strip heat was coming on, and really quickly by looking at that data, we were able to correct the mechanical issue of why that was coming on. And I think that really wraps up my presentation. You know, I think my goal here was to give you a little bit of framing the conversation for green building as you guys approach the next series and classes that you're going to be having here. And I hope that, you know, as a nonprofit, we stand ready and willing to, you know, support you in kind of as you guys navigate these next steps or continue to evolve into the green building arena.
Casey, thank you so much. We do have a couple questions in the chat that I want to kind of wrap together. I think frequently as realtors in CAAR, we're talking to persons that are buying or selling on homes that can be 40, 50, 60 years old. And so a lot of what feels overwhelming is how to put this in perspective for the home they're in now, not the home that's going to be built from scratch. And to sort of walk through some of the things, if we were to get a residential test on just what is the current efficiency for the home that somebody wants to sell, what's the price we would expect a seller to have to pay to just get that test and that initial information?
Yeah, well, there can be a variety of different measures. So I mentioned we have our community energy services here. That program for us is sponsored by Dominion, so we're able to subsidize that program. But we will kind of, if you think through a walkthrough, just to walk through the home and identify those energy saving opportunities in a home, I would anticipate that would be in the maybe 300-ish range. And then from there, you would add on the blower door services if you wanted to look for building tightness, or if you wanted to specifically look at duct leakage. Duct leakage has a major impact on not only our comfort, but our energy use and costs. But the challenge and the beauty with any existing home is that each home is going to be built differently based on the history of construction and or renovation or additions for that building. So that's also going to dictate the materials that were available or kind of industry standard at that time. And so that's really going to be a big component. So just making sure that you have somebody that really understands the building science behind the building, can be able to identify the building envelope and kind of where that is defined, and then thinking through what systems are going to be best applied. For myself, an example, when I bought my home, I have a ranch and I had to put in mechanicals. I was going to put those in the attic, so it made sense to go ahead and insulate my roof line. In later years, I went ahead and did spray foamed with closed cell foam, the below ground wall areas. So I think thinking through as you get into the next existing home or your next new home, not so new to you home, being able to kind of think through what is going to be over time those investments that I'd like to make in this building to achieve maximum comfort, energy efficiency, and good indoor air quality.
And you mentioned air quality. Do you consistently see an improvement in the indoor air quality as you work through these tests and even just sealing the envelope on the outside of the house? Is that pretty dramatic and something that a consumer could see a before and after?
Definitely. Definitely. One of the kind of most common, I think, first energy efficiency improvements for homes is, particularly if you have mechanicals in a vented crawl space, might be to encapsulate that crawl space. That has significant immediate returns. By doing so, the ice cream box is now in a semi-conditioned space and no longer in outside hot air in the summertime. You then also are able to get those floors up to a conditioned temperature so that they don't feel hot or cold really in the winter time. And you don't have those bypasses. That's one kind of normal thing that people do, and it's easy and it's most universal because a lot of homes are in a vented crawl space application and often do have mechanicals there. But if you prioritize focusing on the lower levels and the upper levels, you can certainly notice indoor air quality improvements. That said, you also have to be careful and cautious not to trap moisture in a building. And so making sure that you do have adequate spot ventilation for those bathroom and kitchen areas, and that that's running for the needed time to actually remove the moisture from the building. You want to be cautious to seal up a building without thinking through the moisture potential and controlling the relative humidity within the building as well. And so what you will see with a lot of high performance homes is the necessity to have a standard or whole home dehumidification system.
Okay. I think one of the things we like when we talk about air quality is they can do a project and they can see a result quickly. One of the hard parts talking through with clients is always the return on investment. Even when we have people that are buying fixer-uppers and they ask us questions along the lines of, well, how much would it cost to fix up this home? And my generic response is as much as you want to spend.
Right.
You can make it an unending thing. And so I'm just sort of curious, is there a middle ground of cost to benefit that as you're working through with homes, I'm sure that there's a low end where you're like, well, you're not really getting the benefit. It's kind of not really worth spending that money. And then there's the high end, which might look beautiful and be a great test case, but it's going to be 100 years before they ever get a payback on that. Is there a middle range of typically a 2,500 square foot home that is 5, 10, 15 years out of code? Somewhere in this ground is the sweet spot?
Gosh, Quentin, I don't know that I'd be prepared to answer that. I mean, I think with any improvement decisions, it's going to be based on the consumer, right? So it's really going to be based on what they can afford, as well as what the desired outcomes are. Some folks are, it's also, I think, if you approach various systems or building components that absolutely need attention and be replaced, you might as well make that investment then. I'm a big proponent of, if it's not broken, don't fix it type of thing.
Right.
And so if you're able to, if you have the budget and you want to address all the energy efficiency concerns, and again, I think by focusing on the lower, if you think about the stack effect and how air moves through buildings, it's going to come in the lower negative spaces, and it's going to exit through the roof line. So if you focus on, the bottoms and tops, typically windows by themselves are not going to be the energy saving opportunity. It's really going to be air sealing, encapsulating those crawl space areas, and thinking through how to air seal along the roof line or the ceiling line or the roof line, and thinking through, how to stop that air movement through the building, as well as controlling, the indoor air quality. But we also work with a number of folks that really just want that home to be as perfect as it can be. So,
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time today and getting this sort of view from 30,000 feet. I do want to remind the audience, and we do have time for one or two more questions. There is a Greenfields Toolkit, and that link is there in the chat. It's a toolkit for using MLS Green features and has that to sort of help break it down for you. This toolkit can also be found in Paragon under the MLS document link and in the Paragon training materials and updates folder. It provides an introduction, listing resources, Greenfields checklist, and a list of professional development sources with an appendix, just to make it easy for you to sort of guide through. And I think a lot of our questions in the chat are really focusing on return on investment. And as we tell people all the time, we can talk about global stuff all the time, but your house and your sale is about you and your needs, and really needs to be specialized for that. And I kind of hear Casey telling us that same thing when we talk about return on investment and what should I spend to get money back. And it makes really good sense to start on those mechanicals that I'm going to have to replace anyway, because they've aged out. Thank you, Casey. We really appreciate you taking the time and joining us this morning. Now that we've all received a Green Building 101 course, we have a little bit more for you. And I'm going to pass it off to Josh White, who is the Professional Development Master Group Chair. That's harder to say than the Pledge of Allegiance. And we're really excited to have him announce the full Green Building series to you. Josh?
Hey, thank you, Quentin, and good morning, everyone. As I'm sure you guys have started to see in the news group and the CAAR Facebook group, the Professional Development Master Group and the Blue Ridge Home Builders Association have actually created a Green Building series. This series was produced to help you understand the various green components in relation to planning, design, construction, maintenance, renovation, and demolition. The series, which is free to members, will be presented over the next 5 Latte and Learns, which are going to be held the 3rd Friday of the month at 9 a.m. via Zoom. While I go over the session topic per session, you will be able to see the subject matter experts who will be presenting. The May session is going to cover building systems, which will include HVAC systems and solar panels. The June session will cover building envelopes, which includes insulation, windows, and doors. July will cover site and land, which includes house orientation, location, and landscaping. And finally, August and then September, August will cover finishes and fixtures, which includes paint, flooring, countertops, light fixtures, and appliances. And then the last section of the class will cover the ratings, which would include the types of housing ratings available and what they entail. I'm also excited to share that we have a great incentive for realtors who want to pursue the National Association of Realtors Green Designation. If you attend 4 out of the 5 Latte and Learn Green Building sessions, you will get a $100 discount on the Designation course, and that's a savings of 50% off the price. The course will be taught by Larry Anderson and will be held virtually in October. Today's session, the Green Building Series, and the NAR Green Designation are a powerful combination of information to showcase your expertise to your clients. These offerings are on the CAAR education and event calendar if you wish to register. There's also a Green Building Series flyer in your handouts if you want to share those with your colleagues in your brokerage. And lastly, I want to say thank you to our Green Building sponsors, Birch Studio, Fulton Mortgage Company, Guaranteed Rate, and UVA Community Credit Union and Member Options. They're helping to make the incentive possible for us.
Thank you very much for that information, Josh, and for making it easier for CAAR members to get that designation. In addition to supporting our members, you have made a commitment as an association to support the community, and especially through the pandemic. And so at this time, I would like to invite Ashley Palmer and Carl Garrett to tell us about our latest fundraising activity.
Great, thank you, Quentin.
Go ahead, Ashley, take it away. There we go.
Okay. For over 10 years, CAAR has partnered with Albemarle Housing Improvement Program to help local seniors, children, and neighbors stay safe at home. Whether it's building a ramp for accessibility or repainting a home, CAAR members are ready and willing to roll up their sleeves to build a stronger community.
So CAAR and the Blue Ridge Home Builders Association are partnering to support AHIP through a virtual 5K or 1 mile family fun run / walk. And this is during May 15th through May 29th. We're calling it the 5K for 5K because we are hoping to raise at least $5,000 for AHIP's support and assistance. Now, the registration fee is $30. Now, $10 of that is an automatic donation to AHIP. And the rest of or at least some of that registration fee also covers this awesome t-shirt. That's why I'm dressed so casually presenting to a meeting. At any rate, you can sign up as an individual or you can start a team. And the best part is that you will know that each step you take is helping AHIP and your neighbors in need.
So like Carl said, you will receive a Be the Good t-shirt as part of your registration fee, which includes all 3 of the organization's logos on it. Please take pictures of your walk and remember to use our hashtags on social media. You could win a great prize for the best photo. We hope everyone here today will participate in this virtual event and encourage your friends and family to do the same.
And to help the public know about this really cool event, CAAR received a $1,500 Virginia Realtors Community Engagement Grant, which is paid for TV commercials on CBS 19 and radio commercials on 95.1. So thank you very much to VAR for that.
We have included a flyer in your handouts for today, so please share it, as well as any social media posts that CAAR, AHIP, or the Blue Ridge Home Builders Association are publishing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley and Carl, and thank you. I can see in the chat people that have already signed up and started teams. We're really excited to support this. And, you know, as part of our commitment to community, our commitment is also to our entire community. And so next up, I would like to invite us, Lisa Herndon, to share some of CAAR's diversity initiatives in the months to come. There you are. I can see you now.
Okay. I kept getting these little prompts. Wanted to make sure I was clicking as I go. Well, thank you, Quentin. As you all know, diversity and fair housing issues are intertwined. April was National Fair Housing Month, and I want to acknowledge the 78 members and CAAR staff who recommitted to recognizing and moving forward fair housing issues by completing the National Association of Realtors Fair Haven training. Fair Haven is a fair housing simulation training that uses the power of storytelling to help members identify, prevent, and address discriminatory practices in real estate. It is available to you at no cost. It takes around 40 to 60 minutes to complete. For those of you not on the list of graduates, it's not too late. I challenge you to remain engaged and informed as realtors and to complete the Fairhaven training today. CAAR, in partnership with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the Realtors Chapter of Richmond, will present America's Persistent Color Line in Housing, Charlottesville as an important case study with Dr. James Robert Saunders on June the 3rd. Dr. Saunders is the author of Urban Renewal, the End of Black Culture in Charlottesville, Virginia, an oral history of Vinegar Hill. Dr. Saunders is a professor of English at Purdue University. He specializes in African American literature, contemporary African American authors, and America pop culture. Participation in these events will empower realtors and affiliates to address racial injustices in our community and around the nation. I would like to recognize our sponsor for the event, Virginia Housing. Virginia Housing is helping to provide free copies of the book to those who pre-register. It will be first come, first served for the first 25 members. We will even deliver the book right to your doorstep once you register. We hope you will continue to participate in these important discussions because it is up to us to model diversity, equity, and inclusion for the local community and our realtor family. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. I know last year we had Richard Rothstein that presented on his book, The Color of Law, and that gave us such a great national view and was very eye-opening. And to follow up with the book presentation that you've been talking about, I've read the book. It's really very, very interesting and motivating and informative to see from a national level and come this year to looking at what has happened right around us in Charlottesville, and something I think every realtor should participate in and do. In addition, I would like to say that the Fairhaven training is exceptional. I have attended a lot of the things that NAR has put out, and they really, this is the best course that they put together that I've been able to participate in. So I encourage you all to do that as we move forward to being more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive. Also, some really exciting news, and special thanks to Ali. CAAR submitted for a $5,000 NAR diversity grant to help support this effort, and we found out just yesterday that that grant has been approved. As we talk about change, it reminds us that change is inevitable in every environment, and the CAAR staff is no exception. Over the last several years, you've seen a lot of changes in the faces, but their commitment to you, their support that they want to offer and for you individually and as a business has not changed. I want to provide a recap of our current staff and their role with CAAR, and also have a list of responsibilities up on the screen so that you sort of know who to reach out to for things that you need. Abby Tamman is the Chief Executive Officer. Tiffany Van operates as the Director of Membership and Compliance. Ali DeGuardo is the Director of Marketing and Communications. Heather Clark is our Education Specialist. And last but certainly never least is Neil Williamson, whose birthday it is today. So feel free to reach out and wish him a happy birthday, who operates as our Director of Public Affairs. As you may have noticed, there are some faces that you can remember that are not on the screen, and those include Elizabeth Stewart or Beth Hyder. Elizabeth, who is the Information Technology Support Specialist, is currently out on medical leave, and we are working diligently to cover all of her duties until her return. Beth Hyder, whose role was the Director of Sales and Service for the Hillsdale Conference Center, has pursued another endeavor. So that position is to be filled in the very near future, and we're already accepting applications. We have another position which we're working on filling soon, which is the role of office manager, as we start preparing and ramping up to move into June and hopefully begin a more in-person and open status at CAAR. If you need to contact a specific member of CAAR, you can always go to the About CAAR tab, followed by the Staff sub-tab. And when in doubt, just email support@caar.com and we will be sure and get you to the right person. Also, don't forget that as a benefit of being Realtor, there are Tier 1 support lines for services such as Paragon, Supra, CRS data, and even general computer support. Sometimes those are faster and more complete help for the things that you need, but do not hesitate ever to contact CAAR for anything that you need. The staff, the volunteers are working very hard and they're always here to help. As we move towards the end of today's meeting, I wanted to take a moment to congratulate the following members who have earned their Graduate Realtor Institute or GRI designation. Those members include Sarah Buczynski, Courtney Dickinson, and Emily Dooley. Congratulations on completing all the series of courses and working towards being better for your brokerage, for your clients, and for our community. We really appreciate your efforts. And to conclude this morning's meeting, I would like to welcome the following new Realtor members. In addition to the Realtor members, we have new affiliate members, and I would like to welcome them at this time and also indicate how appreciative I am of their involvement and their support and their understanding that real estate and housing really threads through an entire community, all industries and all peoples. And before adjourning, please know that we are holding a paper shred day for members only on May 19th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Hillsdale Conference Center. So feel free to bring those documents that have outdated, wave hi to people that you may not have seen, and drop them off to be shredded. There is a flyer for the event in your handouts. Thank you everyone again for joining us this morning. I hope everybody has a great day, and this general membership meeting is adjourned.